A very warm welcome and a very good evening to everyone who has joined us today. I am Meher Gandhi, and on behalf of Kalinga Literary Festival, I am so glad to welcome Rajesh Srivastava and Manish Khurana for a much awaited conversation today. And I'm sure that we'll have a wonderful evening today listening to both of them. And let me briefly introduce you all to the author of the book, The 10 New Life Changing Skills, Rajesh Srivastava, who is an author who holds several decades of valuable experience as a manager and even a faculty member. He's an alumnus of IIT Kanpur and IIM Bangalore, and has also been a faculty member of IIM Indore and COO of SP Jain School of Global Management. He also holds experience as a consultant and has conducted several workshops for companies like Mercedes-Benz and Reliance. And he has also written for the Telegraph, Outlook, Business Standard, Mint, etc. And I can keep going, but I will conclude by saying that he's also the author of the book, The New Rules of Business. So thank you so much, Rajesh sir, for joining us today. And we're so glad to have you with us.
A
Thank you so
pleasure,
much.
honor, Meher.
Thank you so much, sir. And I also very gladly welcome Manish Khurana, who is a business and non-fiction editor in the Eburi Publishing and Vintage Publishing divisions at Penguin Random House. And he holds experience as commissioning editor, academic and trade at Oxford University Press, as part of which he commissioned books relating to law, business, trade, and politics. He holds a bachelor's degree in English, political science, history, and Hindi, and an LLB degree from University of Delhi. And I thank you so much, Manish sir, for joining us and for being such a vital part of the conversation that's going to be heard by so many people who've joined us live on all of the platforms and who will be watching us later. So thank you, Manish sir. Thank you, Rajesh sir. And I now kindly invite Manish sir to kindly take over the stage.
Thank you, Meher. Thank you so much for your warm welcome. And it is indeed a pleasure to be here this evening. And I am really thankful to Kalinga, as always, for giving us this platform. We had a similar conversation, I think, a couple of years ago, where Rajesh and I both were present. It was about a different book, but again, I think it's my pleasure and privilege to be here with with you, Rajesh, and on this platform. Thank you so much.
My
Uh,
pleasure, Manish.
yeah. So Rajesh, thank you so much for your time again today. And I know you are quite a busy person, but but I think it's commendable that you take out time from your busy schedule to talk about your learnings, to talk about your experiences. And I think this should really help youngsters, the new generation, and I think they will definitely learn something from this conversation. So thank you so much for here again today, and uh, and any thoughts about your new book? I'm happy that it's doing well, and it was a beautiful experience for me to work on this book. And any thoughts, sir? Any thoughts about this feeling? Because as an author, you have this wonderful, amazing feeling whenever your new book is out. So, any thought on your latest book?
Manish, all I can say is I feel relieved that the book has been published, but I'm more happy for a very simple reason that I believe, as all of us know, that we have entered Industry 4.0. Now, Industry 4.0 we have entered, but Industry 4.0 is not entirely formed. And because Industry 4.0 is not entirely formed, therefore the jobs are not entirely formed. Now, this is the problem that I have been trying to address with this book. We are in Industry 4.0. The scenario Industry 4.0 is not entirely formed. Jobs are not entirely formed. So, how will young people or professionals adapt to an industry which is not entirely formed? And this is the question that actually consumed me and led me to look at what are the potential solutions. And the solutions that I got were from two sources. First source was the World Economic Forum, who for the last decade and a half have been telling that the future of work is going to change and Industry 4.0 is gradually going to take over. They, for the last decade and a half, have been telling us that therefore for Industry 4.0, there are certain new skills that are required. The basic core has remained the same, but they keep on adding new skills and new skills. And I was very, very impressed by the new skills that they have, given out in this future of work report. The second source for me was McKinsey and Company. McKinsey have said that in Industry 4.0, some jobs will die, new jobs will be born, but every single job will change. Now, if every single job will change, new ones will be born, and some will die, then how will we prepare for it? And again, what is recommended is some soft skills are required. So, this was the problem that I tried to solve, and which led to the birth of this book, discussion with you, Manish, discussion with Penguin, and finally the book is out. So I feel relieved that the book is out, but more than relieved, what I feel is that I'm giving the world, I'm solving actually a problem of the world. And what is the problem of the world? We are in Industry 4.0, which is not entirely formed. So how will you prepare for this world, which is not entirely formed? This book that I have written will actually help people prepare for this Industry 4.0 and not just prepare, but actually flourish in this world. So my feeling is of relief and feeling that I have contributed in my own little way to help people adapt to Industry 4.0.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you're feeling relieved, but more than that, as you said, I think this book will definitely help readers understand the importance of these new skills. Uh, and I'm actually happy because I really enjoyed the experience of conceiving this book with you together, and also while editing it, while working on it, I learned so many new things. Despite being a professional, despite being a business editor, I was really not aware of certain things, certain skills that can really impact my life and that can really make me a better professional. So I think the book has something in it for every professional, for every budding entrepreneur, and for even students, because ultimately the process of self discovery really starts when you are in school. So I think even school students will find this book of great importance. uh,
Absolutely. And Manish, may I just add here? I have had the book got released on 25th July. And since 25th July, I have been invited by many companies and by various forums, and some of the largest companies. And my pitch has really touched the heart of people who listened to me or who participated in the event relating to the book. And what I told them was, and because the profile was, let's say, between 35 to say 55, who attended my program at these large organizations, and what I told them is, this book is important for you, but more than you, it is important for your children. And what you guys have to do is read this book, and the conversation on your dining table has to be regarding the school, because you owe it to your children to make sure that they inculcate the skill. Because if your children do not have the skill, it will be like, use your children will use rotary phone in an era of smartphone. And you will not believe, Manish, that the feedback that I have received from many of the people who attended and took this book and gave it to their children has been very amazing. And they feel that it is very, very important, not for them as parents, but even for their children.
no, absolutely true, sir. Absolutely, and I think you will inspire many youngsters through your work. In fact, your previous book and this book should be read in sequence, so that a reader can really understand the true import of the concepts mentioned in both the books. So I would recommend reading both the books together, I mean in sequence, so that they can really understand the true meaning of both the books and become better individuals, better professionals. Uh, yeah, and in fact, after the success of the new rules of business, I think this book uh, should definitely uh, add to your success, add to Penguin's success, and more importantly, add knowledge to uh, add knowledge to those who are really in search of gaining knowledge and and becoming better human beings. So I would put it that way. So I think it will definitely contribute to knowledge building. That's what I feel. So let me just start, sir, by asking you a very simple, very cliche, you may call it, a question. What inspired you to write this book? I think it's very cliche, but I would really ask you. I would really request you to answer that question because as you say that you are not an you are an author now, but you were not planning to become an author, but now finally you have become an author, and it's a great feeling. So, what inspired you to write this book after the grand success of the New Rules of Business?
Manish, part of the answer I have given in the first question that you asked. How do you feel about this book? Now, coming to the second point, while I worked in corporate for over 3 decades, and during my travel across the world and in India, what I realized was, of course, Industry 4.0 has set in. And when I dug deeper into it, what I realized was as follows. And let me give you a historical perspective. Historical perspective is that the world has seen three industrial revolutions: IR1, IR2, IR3. Now, these three industrial revolutions produced two types of jobs: blue collar jobs and white collar jobs. Now, what was the essence of blue collar and white collar jobs? The essence was very simple. The blue collar and white collar jobs expected us to obey authority, not question our bosses, listen to instruction, carry them out, and follow the time tested systems and process. So, may I repeat, the two jobs largely encouraged us not to question authority, to obey them, to carry out the instructions given to us, and to actually follow the time tested systems and process. That was till the industry 3IR. Now, as we have said, we are in industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 differs from the earlier three revolution because it has produced a new type of job, and that I have called it as the green collar job. Industry 4.0 is now producing green collar jobs. What is the essence of a green collar job? It entails three things: think, reflect, and act. Think, reflect, and act. Now, if Industry 4.0 expects us to think, reflect, and act, whereas till now, the earlier three revolutions, which produced two types of jobs, blue collar and white collar, expected us to obey authority, not question authority, follow the time tested systems and process. So, there's a huge difference between blue collar, white collar, and green collar job. Now, if you in industry 4.0 have to become proficient in green collar jobs, then what do you require? You require these 10 skills which I have enunciated in my book. These skills, as I mentioned earlier during our conversation, part of them have been actually identified and put out as future of work by World Economic Forum. So what was my key reason for writing the book? The key reason is Industry 4.0 is producing green collar jobs which expects us to think, reflect, and act. And for doing that, you require these 10 skills. One, this book will introduce you to these 10 skills, and once you are armed with it, then in Industry 4.0, you're going to fly, you're going to flourish. And that is the key motivation for writing the book, to help you succeed, flourish, and fly in Industry 4.0.
Yeah, indeed, true. Yeah, I agree with you, sir. I think your thoughts are really penetrating, and I think your inspiration behind this book is, as I understand now, and even while working on the book, I realized that it is to help readers gain knowledge and become better version, become a better version of themselves. So I think that's the whole idea behind producing this book. Thanks for that candid answer. Uh, so you have referred to these skills as 21st century skills. I know that you have explained it in detail, but why only 21st century skills? Why not any other adjective for these skills? I know these are absolutely critical if somebody wants to achieve success in their career. Uh, but why do you call these skills 21st century skills? Why?
Manish, the answer is very simple, and just let me backtrack. These skills are like virtues; they are timeless skills. They've been in existence for as long as industrial revolution has existed. But there's a difference. Let's go back to Henry Ford and the beginning of last century, 1900. So people like Henry Ford, Dhirubhai Ambani, Ratan Tata, J.R.D. Tata, Mukesh Ambani now, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, these were all captains of industry, right? Or the IBM founder. All
Hmm.
these were captains of industry. All these people had these skills that I mentioned in the book. Using this skill, what did they do? They came out with their vision, mission of their company, and they came out with a strategy how to achieve their vision and mission. So all these
Correct.
industry stalwarts whom we admire, respect, they had these skills in abundance. They were very proficient in this skill, and using this skill, they came out with their vision and mission and a strategy how to achieve it. Once their mission, vision, and strategy was finalized, then they set up their factory. And once the factory was set up, they employed people. And what did they tell largely unspoken is that we've done the thinking for you, we've done the strategic thinking for you. This is the factory where you're supposed to come and follow instructions. Don't use your imagination too much. Come to this factory and just act. Follow the systems and processes that we have laid out. Right? So this is what was the case. But in Industry 4.0, the job that was assigned to Henry Ford or to Steve Jobs or to Elon Musk, they, it was to think, reflect, and act, is now assigned to each one of us. Each one of us in our own job have become the Steve Job of our job.
Hmm.
What does it entail, therefore? That Steve Jobs, when he set up Apple, Henry Ford, when he set up Ford Company, he required
Hmm.
this skill to set up their factory or to make Apple the world's most valuable company.
Hmm.
Now we have become the Steve Jobs. We become the Elon Musk of our job. And like them, we need to have the skill to do our job well. So the
Right.
technical skill is in Industry 4.0, there is no one leader and everybody is a follower. In Industry 4.0, every one of us is a leader. And because
Right.
every one of us is a leader, metaphorically, each one is the Steve Jobs of our job. And if we are the Steve Jobs of our job, we need to have those skills because Steve Jobs had this skill in ample measure, based
Hmm.
on which he conceptualized, visualized, had a mission for Apple and a strategy for Apple.
Hmm.
In distributed leadership, as I'm saying repeatedly, we are the Steve Jobs of our job. So we need to have this skill. And once we are armed with this skill, then we can create the same impact that Steve Jobs did with Apple in our respective job. So this is actually the question is these skills are not new. In earlier time, the industry leaders possessed this skill. Using this skill, they came up with this strategy and they expected us to follow, execute their strategy. But in 21st century, we have become the Henry Ford, the Steve Jobs, the Elon Musk of our job. And if we have to execute these jobs to perfection, we require this skill. So that is the reason why it is important. And therefore, I've called it 21st century skill because now this is valid for every one of us. If any one of us is not armed with this skill, then it is like, not knowing how to read English, not knowing how to use a smartphone, or not knowing
Hmm.
how to, use Excel or PowerPoint. We will still succeed, but the job will become difficult and more challenging.
Uh, so you essentially mean that leadership now it's not just about holding high positions or leading big teams. It's actually uh, about about conducting yourself in a manner that you understand your colleagues, that you understand uh, the, uh, the psyche, and and also the emotional sensibilities of your co-workers. So I think that's what you are trying to say, sir.
Manish, slightly more than that.
Huh.
What I'm saying is that in distributed leadership, each one of us is a leader, and we have to act
Mhm.
and behave like a leader. Now, just take me and Manish, since I'm older to you, let's assume that you work for me. In the
Yeah.
earlier time, if you worked for me, I would do the thinking and tell you, do this, Manish, and you would just
Yeah.
go and follow the instruction. But in 21st century, if I'm the leader of and you report to me, then my job is first, you know, not to make you into a follower, but to make you into a leader. So what will happen? When you come to me with a problem, instead of giving you direction how to solve the problem and carrying out my instruction, I will
Hmm.
listen to you and frame the right question so that when you answer that question, you will discover the answer. And once you discover the answer, because it's your answer, you execute it, you will feel more confident. And if I do it repeatedly, what have I done? I've converted you, I've made you independent, and I've converted you into a leader. Manish, likewise, if the person reporting to you, instead of you directing them, you actually frame the right question using
Hmm.
creativity, innovation, whatever skills you have, right, which I have mentioned. If you frame the
Hmm.
right question and
Hmm.
give it to your subordinate, when he answers your question which you have framed, he will discover a solution because it is his solution. He will execute it well and he will get confidence. So now what will happen is, in the earlier time there was one boss and everybody was a follower. In 21st century, using the skill, I can convert you into a leader. You will convert your subordinates into a leader. The company will be full of leaders. So this is the difference.
So you are trying to say that gone are the days of command and control style of leadership. So now it's more distributed, more decentralized, and everyone in an organization is a leader,
Everyone has the
from top
potential
to
to be a
bottom,
leader.
bottom to top.
Manish, everyone now in Industry 4.0 has the potential to be a leader,
Hmm.
and to actually fulfill that potential, you require this 10 skill. On the other hand, that potential exists, and if you don't possess the skill, you will never achieve your potential and you will be left behind. You will be a laggard and you will be a frustrated professional in Industry 4.0.
I see. I see. I think it's a very valid point. So you are you are of the opinion that that as a leader you have to possess these skills. I mean, as a leader also, and also as a professional, you need to develop these skills so that you can become a better professional, also a better leader in many ways. So do you think that all these skills are equally critical? I mean, all these skills are equally important, or some of the skills are more important than the others? Any specific view on that?
Manish, all these skills are actually, it's like a mala, it's like a chain, and every one of them is important. It's like if you take your human body and you ask me which is the most important organ. You remember there is this Zen story that there was
Hmm.
a fight that took place, with the heart, the kidney, the eyes. Each one of
Yeah,
our
yeah, I remember
organs
that.
was fighting, to say I'm the strongest, I'm the most important. And finally what was realized is nobody was important. It's when every organ works in synchronization that everybody survives. So
Hmm.
these skills are much like the organs. So if you take professionalism, a 21st century professional as a human being, then these 10 skills are the critical organs that
Hmm.
reside in that professional. Is the heart, the lung, the kidney, the eyes, the nose. No, so one skill cannot say I'm more important, the other skill can't say because of me you guys do it. It's only when all these skills come together and are synchronized that the professional can actually create world class products, world class companies. So the metaphor again go back to either Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or Steve Jobs, or in India, let's say Reliance Industries. What has happened? Possessing these skills, these entrepreneurs have built organizations and brands that are the world's most valuable. Now, now is our moment. Every single one of us who's listening to this conversation and who's not listening, every one of us today in Industry 4.0 is empowered to change the world. Every individual in Industry 4.0 has the power to create his own business. You can see it in India, whether it is Ola, whether it is Flipkart, whether it is Cred. I mean, whether it's Mantra, every one of them, these are people from middle class families who have revolutionized, the way in which we, or OYO, in the way in which we live and act. So this is an important skill, and all these skills, the founders have these 10 skills that I mentioned in this book in ample measure. So the key point that I wish to drive home is very simple. Industry 4.0 is very empowering.
Hmm.
Because of technology, we don't require large capital. Because of technology, we don't require extensive distribution infrastructure. Because of technology, we don't require because of technology, we don't require capital distribution, nothing of this kind.
Hmm. Hmm.
All of it is available at the tip of our finger. And each one of us, therefore, is a golden opportunity to use Industry 4.0 and actually fly and achieve and achieve and achieve our dreams, with which we, which is innate in us, but which is very, very latent. This is our moment under the sun.
Hmm. So you
And
are essentially saying that all these skills are interconnected. So, so each plays an equally important role in the overall outcome.
it's
So,
like
for
the
example,
organs of our body. The heart
yeah,
cannot say I'm more important than the kidney. The kidney can't say I'm more important than the brain. The brain can't say I'm more important than the eyes. Only when all these organs work in in
hmm,
synchrony, that we as humans flourish.
I follow, absolutely. Uh, yeah, so basically, humanness that you have included as one of the critical skills is incomplete without problem solving. Just to give you an example, or similarly, I think creative problem solving is not complete without creativity. As you said, I think just a few minutes ago, that you have to be creative in order to suggest a solution, or solve a problem. So I think these things are really interconnected. I think
Absolutely.
I think, yeah, I agree. And as you said, it's basically just like the human body. So it's a multi-organ kind of system. Yeah, I follow.
One of
Yeah,
us, each organ actually makes the other organ stronger.
yeah. Yeah, I get it. I get it. So, yeah, so these are absolutely critical skills for success. There is no doubt about it. But if somebody wants to develop these skills, and but it is basically for youngsters, for those people who are just starting their careers, uh, how hard or easy is it to develop these skills? And I want your perspective on this, uh, from the point of view of 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 a layperson, and also uh, the answer should be the answer should be relevant for students who are yet to enter the job market. So I want your perspective from that, from that angle on this one.
Manish, it's a very simple. The answer is very simple. To possess this skill, we need to be like sports people. The more we practice, the more perfect we will become, and the more and more we practice, not only will we become perfect, but these skills will become a part of our muscle memory. And once it becomes a part of our muscle memory, then unconsciously, we will actually use all this skills. So, for example, take us as human beings. Do you make a conscious effort to see, breathe, eat, talk, or it happens unconsciously? It happens unconsciously, right? And the 10 skills are that if you practice and practice, much like Virat Kohli, Ronaldo, or any one of these people, these skills will become a part of your muscle memory. So take Virat Kohli. I mean, I think is a great example. Uh, Forget his form now, but he's a great elite sports person of our country. Or you can take Sachin Tendulkar, a person who belonged to my generation. Now, what happens? They practice so much that when the ball comes from the bowler, which gives you less than point 0.2 second to react, they don't think. Their muscle memory takes over, and the right shot actually is executed. Correct. So the bowler comes, there's just zero point 0.2 seconds. They don't think, they allow their muscle memory to take over and they come out with the right shot. And we are just flabbergasted how spontaneous they are. Now let's come to these 10 skills. If Virat Kohli wanted to possess this 10 skill, he will practice till it becomes muscle memory so that whenever a problem comes, he will use all these 10 skills in a magical form to give a solution. So the next question is, how will you practice? Manish, the answer is the potential to practice is everywhere. So I was so this particular question was asked in an organization where I had just delivered a session on, and this is the book, my friends, the 10 life changing skills, right? Here.
Yeah, it
So
looks
this
beautiful. Thank you for showing.
so this is the book, friends, and so how can you practice, Manish? So you just need to be curious of your environment. So there was this set of people after the presentation who surrounded me and said, how can we develop this skill, much like you've asked. I said, how many of you are wearing an Apple Watch? So at least 5 people raised their hand. I said, what is the shape of the Apple Watch? It is square. And then I showed my watch. I said it is circular. The face is circular, and most watches. And then I asked the other people, "What is the shape of your watch?" So let's say if there were 50 people, 5 people had Apple watches, and 40, which is square, and 45 people had regular watches, which was circular. So I asked a question: why is Apple Watch square and not circular? And believe me, Manish, almost none had an answer. So,
Hmm.
friends, if you're watching this session, please tell me, and you can key in your comments in the chat box. Why is the Apple Watch square, the face, whereas most of the other watches have faces which are circular? Okay, key in the comment, right? Let me ask you a second question. At my age, of course, my children have grown up, but our children go to school. Manish, have you ever noticed what is the color of the school bus universally?
Yellow, I believe,
Yes, but why is it yellow, Manish?
because it's very it's a bright color and it is easy to spot.
There are many other bright colors which are easy
Hmm.
to spot. So, friends, tell me, this is the second question for you. Our children go to school. You've been to school. Your school bus was yellow. Why is the school bus yellow? Number three, I don't have a pencil here because I've outgrown. But have you ever noticed that the many pencils are not circular? They have those hexagon in shape. Why is it?
Hmm.
I can just keep on asking you question from the environment, right?
Hmm.
Have you ever tried to look at your environment and ask why is the apple square, why is the school bus yellow, why is that pencil hexagonal and not circular? The moment you become curious of your environment and start asking, then it will become a part of your muscle memory, right? And there is an opportunity to learn everywhere. And Manish, here you can learn from a taxi driver, Uber driver,
Hmm.
from your house help, from your elevator person who takes you up and down in the elevator. You can learn from your children. You can learn so much. So the question is that if you want to develop these 10 skills, then don't wait for an opportunity which will present, you think, so that you can practice the skill. That opportunity, that day will
Hmm.
never come. Just look around yourself and ask yourself this question. Be curious of your environment. Let me ask the last question.
Hmm.
In India, many of us have those soap cakes. Now people are shifting to liquid soap. How did the idea of liquid soap come about? More importantly, iPhone changed the world. Where did the idea of iPhone come about? So there is everywhere there is an opportunity to practice skill. I've not got a single answer of why Apple Watch is square, school bus is
Hmm.
yellow. Uh, where did the idea of iPhone come from, and so
Hmm.
on. If you do this, you will actually start getting these 10 skills, and once you get them and you keep on practicing, be aware of your environment, be conscious of your environment, believe me, they will become a part of your muscle memory. Then no matter what problem comes, like Virat Kohli, the right kind of solution will actually emerge.
Yeah, so basically you are trying to say that one has to be more observant of their environment.
Curious
Curious, observant, curious, inquisitive. So these
and
are basically the the,
these are some parts.
the
And Manish,
qualities that one person
yeah.
should have.
And Manish, there is one a section here is called one skill here called lifelong learning. If actually one reads that chapter and if you become a lifelong learner, then all the other 9 skills you will be able to inculcate, imbibe, and internalize in a jiffy.
Right, right, right. So it's not that difficult because many people think, oh, these are really fancy words. These are very technical skills. So we may not be able to learn them. But as you said, I think it's very easy to really develop and acquire these skills. So one just has to be curious. Yeah, yeah, that's the right word.
And keep
Yeah.
asking yourself the right question and not
Hmm.
resting till you have discovered the answer.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So this is
And
basically
that's
called,
how great inventions, great discoveries have taken place. I think, yeah, I think that's probably the reason why some great discoveries have taken place in this world.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you have already talked about quite a few people, I think. So I don't need to. I wanted to ask you this question, but I think you have already answered this, and you have answered this in detail. Where I wanted to ask you, any 2 or 3 people who have these skills, who have really used these skills to the hilt, and 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 become really successful at their work. But I think you have mentioned quite a few people like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Virat Kohli, Sachin Tendulkar. So I think that question stands answered now. So I don't need to really ask you that question. That will be repetition. Uh, but I was curious to ask you that question. Uh, yeah. So I have seen in your case particularly that you try to challenge uh, outdated beliefs. Uh, and you have done this in your earlier book also, The New Rules of Business, where you challenged the existing rules of doing business. Yeah, yeah, this one. Yeah, 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 yeah. Thanks for showing this to our readers. Uh, by the way, I just want to tell you that the book is doing really well still. I think we are very close to selling 15,000 copies. It's a national bestseller, and I'm so proud to have been associated with this book. And in fact, Penguin Random House is also very happy that we got an opportunity to work on this book, to work with Mr. Srivastava, and we hope that we'll continue to sell this book. And now that this new book is available, the 10 new life changing skills, both this book both these books uh, can be explored together, uh, and I'm sure both these books will help readers. So thanks, sir. Thanks for showing this to our readers. Yeah, so I was asking you that you have this tendency to question beliefs, existing beliefs, and some of them may be outdated also. So why do you do that? And it's basically just not related or restricted to these 2 books or to authoring books. It is basically a personal question. I want your personal perspective on this. Why you have this tendency to question beliefs or existing systems? So any Any specific view that you have on this one?
Manish, the answer is very simple, and I would use a technical word which is called frugal. So, whichever organization I worked in, and I worked in large organizations, but in large organizations, I worked in smaller companies. So, let's say in United Spirits, there were 5 companies. So, I worked in the company that was the smallest and potentially the weakest company. In Raymond, I worked for a company which was again, it had multiple companies. I worked for a company which was a small company, and when companies are small, the resources are meager, right? Now, if the company is small, the resources are meager. How do you take on the elephant? And the answer is only one, that you can take on the elephant and make the elephant dance if you change the rules of the game. Now, if you change the rules of the game, what do you need to do? You need to challenge the industry's tradition, assumptions, and norms. So, if you want to to challenge the industry leaders who are like an elephant and you are like an ant, then what do you need to do? You can't fight an elephant. The only way you can fight an elephant is change the rules, right? So, for example, suppose sumo wrestling was in vogue, right? A guy like me can't take on a sumo wrestler. He will just blow and I'll fly away. So what do? Don't get into a sumo wrestling match with a sumo wrestler, but actually start playing judo. When you start playing judo, then his weight becomes a disadvantage and your leanness becomes your advantage. So
Hmm.
I have done that in alcoholic beverage industry. I've done that in personal care. So for example, deodorant, till 2002 was sold as a deodorant. I challenge this tradition, the assumption that deo has to be sold as a deo. I challenge this tradition and the norms, and I said I will not sell deo. I will sell perfume. I will
Hmm.
not sell deo. I'll sell perfume. Today there is no brand in India of deodorant which can sell unless it says perfume, right? And where did this idea come from? I did not have to invest money. It is just this absolute desire to solve a customer problem. Let's take education. In the year 2008, when I was invited by IIM Indore to do the brand management course, I told the highest authority there that yes, I'll do the course, but I'll tell stories. So the gentleman who was at the helm of the affair, he looked at me, he says, this is IIM, the year is 2008. He says, you can't tell Ramayana and Mahabharata stories. So I looked at him and I said, no, I'm going to tell them business stories. And
Hmm.
remember, business stories, they will remember even decades after I have told them. And Manish, do you know what? It's almost been a decade since I taught brand management. But I won't say every single student, but most of the students still remember my course and they still remember everything that I've said. And many say that whenever we have a business challenge, we refer to your notes and we get it and we can remember it so well. Now, when they read this book, what they say is it is like attending your class, right?
Hmm.
So storytelling is something I introduced into education, and that's changed the rules of the game. But everything that you do, there has to be a reason. So why storytelling is so important? This printed press is just a few hundred years old, right?
Hmm.
Before that, we have existed as human beings for centuries. So if printed press was not there, then how did knowledge get transferred? It got transferred through the oral medium of hymns, prayers, stories. So in our DNA, we are actually ingrained to listen to stories, remember them, retell them, and act on them. Now, this is the consumer insight which I used to actually deliver this entire course on brand management at IIM Indore and any other place. It worked like magic, right? So if you go here, there is a skill here, skill 7, which is storytelling. So in
Hmm.
21st century, please don't communicate, do storytelling. And storytelling is not storytelling, it is an art. It has got science behind it, and this book will introduce you to that, how to become proficient in storytelling so that you become more effective. And just to tell you again, going to IIM Indore, In 2008, why do I challenge tradition, norms, and assumptions? In IIM Indore, the number of students who signed up for brand management was 66. In the years that follow, when I did brand management at IIM Indore, the number rose to 210. And why did that number rise? The number rose because I challenged the existing tradition of just delivering models, frameworks, and so to speak, in a boring way, teach. I made it interesting. Let's come to the deodorant example. Why did I do it? Today, so to give you data, the year 2002, when I became the CEO of JK Helen Curtis and I looked at the deodorant category, the size, according to Euromonitor, was 66 crores, rupees 66 crores. Today, it is roughly about 7,000 crores. It's grown almost 1,000 times.
Hmm.
It's only by challenging tradition, assumptions, and norms that the industry has grown. Today, you can go to any chemist shop or a general merchant store, Kirana store. You have to find a deodorant. Without deodorant, these shops can't run. Can you imagine how many livelihoods are created when you have a 7,000 crore industry? How many
Yeah.
people are getting employed? So those are the bigger issues. And let's take the students. Because I told them interesting stories, they remember the concepts and they have applied it. And because they've applied it, they've created great brands, they've created great industries and created great value. Isn't that adding to the GDP of our country? Isn't it making our country more powerful? And
Yeah,
that is
that's
the
right.
largest we need to have.
No, I think yeah, that's absolutely right, sir. Yeah, I think you have done it yourself. So there is no better person to really highlight the importance of these skills than you. So yeah, absolutely. So each word that you have spoken is golden. Yeah. So that's very true. So now I think we are almost there. Uh, I would like to ask you one final question, and it's not basically a question; it's basically a request to share one piece of advice with our readers about 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 the about the strategy that they should adopt for work 4.0. I mean, industry 4.0 or career 4.0, because the world of career is changing. So I think you are the right person to advise our readers on how to go about it, how to deal with this change, how to prepare themselves uh, for the future of career.
Manish, the answer is very simple. You can see me. My voice is not powerful, and if you've seen me in person, I'm not even a tall person. So my voice is very weak. I'm not a tall person. I'm not aggressive. I'm an introvert. Now, if a person like me, uh, during the course of my career, and just let me share a few examples from alcoholic beverages, the name McDowell signature was given by me using one of the skills here called creativity. We made Bagpiper India's largest and also the world's largest using smart problem solving, which is skill number 5 here, and entrepreneurial spirit and humaneness, right? We were the again take deodorant category where we did critical thinking and we said no, we will not sell deo, we'll sell perfume. That is skill number 3 here, right? Now, if a person like me using armed with this skill can create a category from 66 to 7,000 crore, can create brands like Signature, which I think most of us know, and I believe because I give that name, I think it's a great name that was given in 1991. Now, if a guy like me can do it, then why can't you? So, what is it that you require to have? You got to have world class dream that you can change the world. I had it in 1985 when India still was under license Raj. Today, India is today the fifth largest economy and it has overtaken UK. If it is
Hmm.
such a large economy and it's overtaken UK, and you have all the information at your fingertip, plus you have the smartphone, you know how much power it has? It has the same computing power that was required to send Neil Armstrong to moon the first time in 1969. So you have that much computing power. It is within your grasp in terms of pricing power. it can enrich your life. So you don't require capital. So what do you require? You require world class dream. Go and have world class dream and say, I'm going to make a difference to the world. But what do you need to do? Law of intention. What is your need? What is your intention? Your intention should not be to make money. Your intention should be to leave the world in a better place than you found it in, using these 10 skills, right? Change the world, make it a better place to live in. When you have a purpose higher than just making money, then you can really change the world, right? So my bottom line is as follows: have an aspiration to change the world, then come back and work extra hard to make that happen. And how can you change the world? You need to have this skill and plus several other things, right, that you need to have, which I'm sure you would have. And the other thing is called law of compounding. Young people are always in a hurry to make money, to rise up in their career. Guys, let me tell you this: you will never make money if you are in a hurry to make money. You will never have a great career if you are in a hurry to make a great career. Do the right thing and follow the law of compounding. Law of compounding is, it takes time. Over time, you're going to make so much money that you will not know what to do with it. You'll have such an amazing career that people will look up to you. So, Manish, that's my bottom line. Have world class ambition, have an ambition to change the world, not just to change the world for you to make money, but to change the world and leave the world in a better place that you found it in. And once you do that, it's a metaphor for our pet, let's say dog. If we work hard with world class ambition, with the right niyat or intention, that represents the body of the dog. Wherever the body goes, the tail is sure to follow. And what does the tail personify? It personifies success, it personifies money, it personifies everything. So, bottom line is focus on the body, which is hard work, commitment, world class dream, aspiration. Wherever the body goes, the tail is sure to follow, and the tail represents success.
Thank you so much, Rajesh. Thank you so much for these wonderful thoughts. Thank you so much for these incisive views. And I'm sure this conversation will leave our readers enriched. Thank you so much for your time. And I think we have some time for questions. I don't know. I'll just check with Meher. Meher, do we have some time for questions? Or it is about it?
Sir, I think the session was so enlightening that answered a lot of questions that might have
Okay.
risen in our minds. But I will just check once, sir, if there's any question that's left. Yeah, no, so all questions have been answered, so we can move on to thanking our enlightened, thank you so much. What an enlightening session this was. Thank you, Rajesh sir, for mentioning your sources, which also led you to think more deeply about the problems that lie in entering industry 4.0, which is not entirely formed, a phrase that you used. And what I understand is that you have ensured that this particular book helps many, especially the younger generations who are entering industry 4.0. Yes, that is the book right there. And oh, wow, this was great to know so much about the book. And I think this is just a glimpse, and if we actually get to read the book, there's so much there to learn from. And all thanks to you. And you also talked about the distinction between blue collar, white collar, and green collar jobs, out of which the former two were born out of the previous three industrial revolutions, and the last one works on the principle of think, reflect, and act. So like you can see, I couldn't help but be a curious student when you were talking, sir. So, and I'm just so glad that you're sharing that with so many students and so many readers all across the world. So thank you so much, and thank you also for asking questions to us viewers in turn. Why is the apple watch square, and why are buses yellow? And I got a lot of answers, but I was sure that maybe none of them are the exact correct answers. But as a good student, I will continue to question more and observe more. So thank you, Rajesh sir, for inspiring so many thoughts. And thank you also to Manish sir for letting everyone know why exactly the book would be a beneficial read for several people, including students. And thank you also, Manish sir, for asking questions that enabled Rajesh sir to highlight some key aspects regarding the book. You asked questions relating to whether all skills are equally important, about his thought process behind asking questions and behind being inquisitive about things. And also, thank you for asking for his advice on all of our behalf. And I am sure that will benefit all of us. So, I would like to, on behalf of Kalinga Literary Festival, I, Meher Gandhi, thank everyone who joined us today and everyone who will be watching this session, which is being recorded. And Kalinga Literary Festival is actively conducting literary discussions and events, and you can keep up with our activities and events through YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And that's all for today. But thank you so much to everyone.
Thank you,
Good
Meher.
evening.
Thank you so much for inviting us today.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was a privilege and honor to be on this platform.
Thank you,
Wonderful.
Meher. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good evening.
Good
Good evening.
evening. Bye.